Hey guys, welcome back to Sacred Vedic Astrology. My name is Samantha and I feel so blessed and so lucky to be a professional Vedic astrologer. So today we are going to go into a more basic level part of Vedic astrology, which is going to be the first house ruler through all of the houses, right? So this is essentially what house rules your entire chart. And this is super important because it's essentially informing the whole chart and where the energy of the chart wants to go, right? So the way that you calculate this is by looking at your lagna or your ascendant and seeing what planet rules your ascendant, right? So if you're a Gemini lagna or ascendant like I am, then your chart is ruled by Mercury. If you're a Libra ascendant, your chart is ruled by Venus. If you are a Capricorn, lagna, or ascendant, your chart is ruled by Saturn. So then what you want to do is go and pull up your chart and see where that planet is sitting, right? So for my chart, I'm a Gemini lagna or ascendant. My first ruler is Mercury in the third house. So that means that my Ascendant Lord or my first ruler is in the third house. Okay, that's how we figure out the analysis of the first ruling planet and what house it goes to. Okay, so in this video, we're going to go into the first lord in all the different 12 houses and what that would represent for your personal chart. Now, I want to emphasize the point that Vedic astrology is a deeply complex system of astrology, right? So your first lord could be in the second house and you want to make money and you want to make lots of money, but your second house planet is debilitated and it's hit by 3 malefics. You know, you're going to want to make money, but you're going to have difficulties doing it, right? That's where the more in-depth, complex analysis comes in. But for this video, we're going to just focus on the meanings of each house. All right. So let us get started. I'm really excited. I'm feeling really good today. Jupiter is conjunct the moon in my second house over my natal Venus. If you know, you know. I'm feeling really good. Okay, so let us start with the first ruler in the first house. So I have a little Google Doc typed up. So if I'm like looking off to the side of the screen, you guys know what I'm looking at. So first ruler in the first house. Now, this is a fascinating one because the first house is the house of self. So if the first ruler is in the first house, then the self is an important focus in this lifetime. It means that someone is here for strong confidence, leadership, self-development, self-focus, themes like that, right? And so if they have a strong first house ruler, it's hit by benefics, it's well-placed. They can be really great leaders. They can be magnetic in their energy. They draw people towards them, naturally confident. Their destiny and their chart energy is always tied to identity and self. Okay, I would say as well too, if the first ruler is in the first house, someone can come across a little selfish or overly self-focused, but that's just what they're learning to develop, right? That's the whole essence of the chart. So I find people with the first ruler in the first house, if it's not super poorly afflicted or aspected, they're very magnetic. People are drawn to them. There's a strength of the self, quite literally. They can be great leaders. They can do well in front of the camera, themes like that. Okay. So the first ruler in the second house. So the second house is the financial house. It's stability, it's security, it's our values, it's family life, early family life specifically, and it's essentially this house that wants a lot of security, right? It's an Artha house, which if you guys have watched my video series where I go into the meanings of every aim of life in Vedic astrology, this is a more earthy sort of energy. It's about stability, it's about finances, it's about our home life and early childhood, and it's also about speech and expression as well too. Right? So if someone has the first ruler and the second, there's an important theme for them around their speech, quite literally, how they express themselves. Now, remember what I said earlier, is it debilitated? Is it hit by a bunch of malefics? Then they want to make money, but they struggle to make money. Or they want to speak, but they have some speech issues, right? It really depends. But overall, that's still going to be a major theme of the life experience. Second house is also what we ingest, what we put into our body. So if the first ruler is in the second, someone has to be cautious of the things they eat or substances, alcohol. The ancient texts say they ingest poisons if there's malefics in the second house. So they just have to watch out for what they put into their body as well too. All right, so communication, speech, finances, security, early childhood will be very important. And you will find if someone has the first ruler in the second house, they really crave financial security so much. It's really important to them. I've had 3 clients recently, for whatever reason, that have the first ruler in the second house. And I always tell them, I'm like, you want to make a lot of money in this lifetime? And they're like, yes. Just important for them because that's the chart ruling house. You know, what's interesting about astrology is it's not so black and white, right? So it reflects life in that way that nothing is so good or it's so bad or it's so this or it's so that. There's a lot of gray, there's a lot of duality, right? So one person might think that if someone is super focused on making money, that's like a negative sort of thing. To someone else, it's just what they want to do in this lifetime, right? It's all very subjective and every chart has a very different focus in this lifetime. So it helps take us out of that place of like judgment or such black and white thinking through astrology. At least that's what I find, because that's just what their chart is meant to be. Like it's just exactly as it's meant to be. So that's really fascinating with astrology as well too. Okay, first ruler in the third house. So third house is courage, energy, willpower, drive. Someone has the first ruler in the third house, they want to get out there, they want to do things, they want to express themselves, they want to talk, they want to communicate. It's a very communicative sort of house. It's also really connected to creativity as well too. And I find the third house to be a very underrated house in astrology. Like I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it too much, but third house is like our willpower, our drive, our ability to get through things and keep going and ambition. And I also find the third house to be a very entrepreneurial sort of house as well too. Like it's really about doing your own thing in this lifetime is what I find with the third house. It's more so focused on like business endeavors, carving your own path. I see that a lot with third house energy. It's also very communicative, expressive, a love of ideas and talking. And siblings can also be an important theme, specifically younger siblings, but again, I think the third house or the 11th house, it can be interchangeable. It's not always so spot on that the third house is the younger sibling or the 11th house is the older. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't, right? Like my first ruler's in the third house. I don't have a younger sibling, but siblings in general, yes, have been a theme for me, but it's not the younger. So it can go either way. Third house is music, dance, drama. It's really funny, like every photo of me when I was younger, I was like dancing and like singing, and I would have like these like microphones. And to this day, like I love music, I love dance, I love drama, I love creativity. If I wasn't an astrologer and I could sing, if I could sing, I would be on the stage every day. You would not catch me anywhere else. I would be up there, I'd be singing, I'd be dancing, I'd be performing. So I feel like I am naturally performative in that way as well too. And when I was younger, I would get up and like sing in front of these like groups of people. So that's the third house: music, art, drama, dance. It's also business, sales, technology. So it's a very salesy, business focused sort of house. And even though what I do is astrology, it takes a lot it's like a lot of my work is actually me communicating with people. It's a lot about me connecting with people. It's a lot about me knowing how to talk to people, right? I wouldn't be a good astrologer if I didn't know how to connect with people. It's really important in my life path, communication, expression, right? And I'm only talking about myself in this so that you guys can get examples of how it has played out in my personal life. Like my whole life has been about the third house. I'm always talking. I'm always expressing myself. I'm always dancing, and I love music, and I have a business, and I'm very entrepreneurial, and all of it. It's all been a huge constant theme in my life. Okay. First ruler in the fourth house. This is a very fascinating one. So fourth house is the more literal manifestation of the fourth house is, of course, homes, lands, real estate, family, cars, vehicles. I had this pretty pretty eerily spot on reading once with a client where her whole chart was just like fourth house, fourth house. Oh my God, there's all these benefics in the fourth house. Her first ruler was in the fourth house. And I was like, you know what? Do you have a constant theme of home, land, real estate? And she was like, I've been a real estate agent my whole life. And I was like, there you go. So the more literal manifestation of the fourth house is like the homes, the lands, real estate, property, family, the mother. The fourth house is specifically the mother. And the deeper meaning of the fourth house is our emotional nature. It's the house of happiness, right? So if someone has a more afflicted fourth house, they struggle with like happiness. If they have a really well aspected fourth house, they can be naturally happy, right? So that is more of that like emotional house as well too, right? It's like security, home, family, emotional stability. And you'll find if the first ruler is in the fourth house, the mother may have played a key role or strong influence in someone's life, right? So that client that I had, she was a real estate agent, but also her mother was a real estate agent, and they worked together. It was one of those charts that gave me chills when I was reading it, and I was like, you know what? It can't be anything else but real estate. Like, it just can't. And she was like, mother, homeland, real estate. It was all of it. It was all of it. Okay. So that's really interesting. All right. First ruler in the fifth house. Okay. So the fifth house is the mind, it's mental energy. So it's like if someone has the first ruler in the fifth house, they can think a lot. Their mind is active. They're always thinking. There's this very activated sort of mental energy. It's also Purva Punya, which is past life credits, past life karma. So they can be very connected to something they've done in a past life. They can feel very in touch with, oh, I'm just meant to do this. This is my destiny. The fifth house is very much this like destiny sort of house. Investments, you never want to forget that the fifth house is the house of investments. I can't even tell you guys how many clients I get that have a powerful fifth house and they work in investments. They're like investment bankers. They work with other people's money. And that was actually one meaning of the fifth house that I did not know for probably the first good half of my practice. So early on, when I was still new to astrology, I never knew that. Like, I never knew that. And so I'd read these charts and they would have this very activated fifth house. And I just had no idea that the fifth house was other people's money through investments. And then I would get clients that were like investment bankers. They worked in stocks. They invested other people's money. And I was like, gosh, like, what is that? And then my second Vedic teacher, who really changed my whole astrological practice. You guys know I always talk about him. I will always talk about him. James, he was like, fifth house is investments. And I was like, there it is. There it is. So it's also investments in other people's money in that way as well too. Okay, fifth house is also children, right? So if someone has a really powerful fifth house, first ruler is in the fifth house, and it's not poorly aspected, they're going to want children and they're going to do well with children, right? If they go towards that. Children, self-expression, it's a very creative, expressive house. Romance, right? I talk about this a lot, but the fifth house is like more quick, casual, fun romance. Seventh house is like contractual sort of agreement. So they're different in that way. Okay, that's the fifth house. Now the first ruler in the sixth house. So sixth house is service, it's healing, it's any sort of industry that is about helping, healing, service, or improvement. So, you know, interestingly enough, yes, the sixth house could be a doctor. Yes, it could be a nurse. Yes, it could be an energy healer. But it could also be someone who works in like restaurants or the service industry in that way, because it's just all things connected to service. And interestingly enough, my sixth ruler is in my 10th house, and I've pretty much only ever done like service jobs. Like when I was younger, I would work in like restaurants, or I was always in like the restaurant business. And now what I do is another form of service. So it's like, it's service all across the board. It's not just doctors and nurses and healers. It's like any industry that is a service-based industry. Okay, the sixth house is also overcoming obstacles, and it's also the house of improvement. So more than anything, if someone has a prominent sixth house, they want to improve things. They want to make things better, right? So that can go in all these different directions, all these different spaces. There's so many different industries that are about improvement, right? For example, I had a client once who had a very prominent sixth house, and she was in technology, but the technology field that she worked in was about improvement. It was about like helping people. So that's the sixth house. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It doesn't have to be a Reiki healer. It can be, of course, but it can also be someone who just wants to improve things, fix things, make things better. Like a hair cutter, a hairdresser would be in the sixth house, which like to me, I'm like, hairdressers are such like healers. Like when I go to my girl, I'm like, I feel so good. Like I feel healed. I feel ready. So the sixth house is pretty much anything that's like helping. It's a service sort of oriented field. But it's also discipline. It's also physical fitness, physical energy. So someone can really love to work out. So they can have a connection to their physical body as well too. Also, the sixth house is the legal system. It's litigation. I have a client who comes to me a lot, and she has a very prominent sixth house, and she's a lawyer, right? So she is working with law and justice. So there's also that theme as well too. Okay. First ruler in the seventh house. This is kind of an obvious one. You know, there's certain parts of astrology where there's like certain houses that just everyone kind of knows. Like I feel like if I tell someone about the seventh house, they're like marriage, you know, business. Most people just kind of know about that. So, you know, first ruler in the seventh house, partnerships, business, the public, people you're connecting with, marriage, contractual agreements, all of that sort of stuff is connected to the seventh house. It could be public connections, clients, any sort of relationship. And usually if the first ruler is in the seventh, they have some focus on business. They want to start a business. They work around business. There's some business sort of focus. That's the seventh house. Okay. So that one's a little bit more simple. There's some houses that don't have all these different meanings. Some are very straight to the point. The first house, it's like, it's yourself. It's you. It's how you show up in the world. Seventh house, it's how you connect with others. It's your partnerships. It's your business partnerships. There's not always so much we can pull from it. It's more simple, more straight to the point. Okay. First ruler in the eighth house. This is a very interesting one. And if you guys have this one, comment down below. I really want to hear about your experience because the eighth house is an intense house, right? The eighth house is transformation and rebirth and constant change and evolution. So it's a really interesting house. It does connect to research. It connects to mysteries, the occult. It's the astrological house. It's the psychic house. It's the house that connects to other people's money, which is like inheritance. That's all eighth house, right? It's like life and death and rebirth, and it's a very taboo, interesting sort of house. The difficulty of the eighth house is I feel like there's constant change, there's constant ups and downs and highs and lows, and amazing things happen and then really horrible things happen. So the eighth house can be very topsy-turvy. It's not like this like straight line, the straight linear experience. There's a lot of stuff going on with the eighth house, a lot of intensity, a lot of change, a lot of transformation. But if someone has a powerful eighth house, they're very gifted with going to the depths of things. They're gifted with psychology, understanding people, getting to the root of things, unraveling mysteries, doing things like astrology. That's the eighth house. I actually think it's really important to analyze someone's eighth house if they're going to be an astrologer. That would be the first place I would look because the eighth house is that astrological house. Okay, but also definitely other people's money. Major theme. They either get money in weird ways, they get government money. It pretty much never fails. I've never, guys, like this is pretty rare in astrology for me to be able to say this, but I have never once analyzed a chart where they have a really prominent benefic eighth house and they don't get money from outside sources. It's never happened. It's never happened. It just always plays out. If they have moon in the eighth house, influenced by Venus and by Jupiter, and Mars is aspecting its own sign in the eighth, like they get money from other people. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for them. It's really fascinating. Okay. First ruler in the ninth house. So the ninth house is travel, wisdom, teachings, teachers, it's guides, gurus, philosophy, higher learning, and this is also the house of the father. There's two different sort of philosophies in Vedic astrology. Is the ninth house the father? Is the 10th house the father? I tend to analyze the ninth house more, but I've also seen the 10th house work, so it's kind of a confusing one. I try to analyze both. The first ruler in the ninth house, the father, was an important theme. Maybe he played a big role in someone's life. There's some importance of like the guides and the teachers. Okay, it can also be education and traditional schooling, or it can be higher learning as well too. It's like all realms of learning, teaching, education. Okay. And ninth house can also be law and justice as well too, because they just feel very like morally strong about things with the ninth house. So it's a very moral, righteous sort of house. There will definitely be a love for travel with the ninth house, 100%. They're going to love travel, different countries, different spiritual beliefs. They're going to be interested in all that sort of ninth house, Jupiterian sort of stuff. Okay. First ruler in the 10th house, that's another sort of obvious one, right? Career is really important to them. They want to have a big career. They want to be seen. Their work life, their public life is very important. Whether the career goes well or doesn't go well, that's a different analysis, right? That's like, how is the 10th house performing? But if the first ruler is in the 10th, they think about career, they're thinking about work, they want to have that career to some degree. It's constantly a theme in their life. The world around us, like the 10th house is our public image, so there can be some desire to make some big impact on the world around you, very connected to the public, right? That's the 10th house. Like the 4th house is internal, it's private. 10th house is the public. So if someone has a lot of 4th house energy, they're private, they're more in their own world. If someone has a lot of 10th house energy, they want to be out there. They have to be out and about in the world. That's really important to them. Okay. So first ruler in the 11th house. This one is interesting just because, again, there's some houses where it's just so straight and so forward. It's like, this is what it means and this is what happens. The 11th house is one of those kind of confusing houses where it's just a little bit more, you never really know what's going to necessarily play out with the 11th house, but the 11th house is communities, groups, friendships. Someone is probably connected to some sort of important community. They want to be a part of a group, a part of some sort of organization. Their friends are very important to them. Success can come through like networking, collective groups, goals, shared sort of visions. The 11th house is also big, lofty dreams, right? So I talked about this a little bit earlier in the other video I did on the Kama houses, but the 11th house is like our big dreams, our big goals, right? It's something more far out there, right? It's not just, oh, I want to make an extra $200 this month. The 11th house is like, I want to be president. Like that was an extreme example, but the 11th house is some sort of big desire, big dream. And if someone has a really well aspected 11th house, they can make it happen. They can bring it into fruition. They should go after those dreams, after those desires, right? The 11th house is also large financial gains, so a lot of money. They can also be interested in money, but it's like money that comes in a lot sort of sum, right? So it's like a big amount of money. Maybe they just get a bunch of money one day. That's the 11th house. Okay. And the final house is the first ruler in the 12th house. So the 12th house is that moksha house, right? It's a lot about surrender, liberation, letting go. Someone is usually pretty interested in some spiritual side of life. They're interested in the deeper meaning. Why are we here? There's usually some interest in going beyond if someone has the first ruler in the 12th house. Their life path can involve a lot of foreign travel, different countries, different cultures. There's something important for them about foreign people, foreign lands, like that. Meditation is the 12th house, raising consciousness, liberation from material senses is the 12th house. But we never want to forget that the 12th house is film, photography, and television. So I see this so often. I see this so often to the point where I want to make a PSA announcement. Every time I see this, I'm like, the 12th house is film, photography, and television. Because I see so many videos where people are analyzing charts and they're like, oh, that's so weird. You know, this major celebrity has a prominent 12th house. it's not weird because the 12th house is film, photography, and television. Like, it makes perfect sense, right? People just tend to forget that meaning. And I get a lot of people ask, like, why is the 12th house film, photography, and television? The reason is because the 12th house is essentially ways we escape this world, ways that we liberate ourselves from, like, the physical world. And film, photography, television is not real, right? It's like kind of an illusion in the sense that it's creating something, it is making something that is more fantastical, right? It's something that is not, of course, like there's documentation photography and there's different realms of photography, but for the most part, you watch a TV show, it's not really happening, right? Unless it's like reality TV, of course. But even that is very fabricated. So it's like you're watching a TV show, it's not the truth of what's going on. So there's this aspect of escapism. There's an aspect where it's not quite real. It's not quite of this physical world, right? That's where the connection comes in. Okay. All right. So the Ascendant Lord is essentially the main theme of the chart. You're going to see constant themes, constant experiences unfolds that you're like, oh, that was a very third house experience. Oh, that was a very second house experience. Oh, that was a very 12th house experience, right? It's kind of like painting the whole life story where you're always having these experiences that connect to that house's energy, right? So it really shows where you're always drawn, where you're always having interesting experiences in this lifetime. So comment down below, what house is your Ascendant Lord in, and do you find a lot of constant experiences unravel there? For me, first house Lord in the third house, all the time, all the time. It's always about the third house. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a very basic lesson in Vedic astrology, but I think it's important to grasp these more basic concepts before going on into all the yogas and what do all the yogas mean and what's the divisional chart. It's important to start with just the foundational aspects. And if you guys want to go deeper, I do offer personal Vedic chart readings, which are in the description down below. And I have a lot of new offerings on there, which I think are really cool. Like I have an offering where you can get one question answered. I have an offering where it's 30 minutes looking into a focused point of the chart, which is really fun. If you just want to know about your career, we can go into a deep dive in the chart as well too. Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content coming soon. We're getting close to 1K, and when we do, I definitely want to do something fun, like either a giveaway of a mini chart reading, or maybe like a special video that you guys request, something of that nature. Let's get there. Let's get going. Share this video. Have other people that subscribe as well too. All right. I hope you guys have such a beautiful, blessed day, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. Bye, guys.